we try to okay. Yeah, good evening, our viewers out there. We are glad to be back to this show again this afternoon, this evening. And from wherever you are joining us, I say good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, this is your regular platform opinion sharers where we discuss topical, national, regional, and global issues. And as you know from onset, one of the very reasons why we set up this platform is to get our minds informed, and particularly to have people share their opinion on what we are doing on this. To have their opinion shared, to have their views heard out on this platform. Importantly, as I've said earlier, to get us informed on what is happening around us and what is expected of us as citizens. Of course, this platform is set up by Nigerians, and of course, we have been privileged to have people from across regions of the world coming to hear their views on this show. And we are glad that you are always staying tuned, staying connected. So as you are watching us, I just encourage that you share this conversation, this live broadcast on your respective platforms so that people out there can know what we are really discussing about. But one thing is very important. We are sharing opinions for the sake of the good, for improvement of humanity. So this afternoon, we have wonderful and eminent personalities on the show. And of course, we are still expecting one to join us. This evening, we have Mr. Olamide Martins, who is a development consultant, joining us from Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria. And of course, we have Mr. Fadumo Paul, the engine behind this platform, joining us all the way from India. So, and we still expect one of the public affairs analysts in our nation to actually join us as we discuss important issues this afternoon. So, I think our guest, you have the floor to actually say hello to our viewers out there. So, Mr. Martins, kindly say hello to our viewers this evening. Yeah, kindly unmute yourself while you say hello to our viewers. Okay, I think there's no, we still can't hear you. Kindly unmute yourself.
You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me now, Michael?
Yeah, we can. So please do well to introduce yourself to our viewers.
So sorry about that. That is one of the many problems we face in here. We can't entirely trust the internet. And Buhari would also be around when it comes to things that matter like this. Okay, having said that, I'm Olamide Martins. I work with Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, based here in Nigeria. As I speak with you now, I'm in Lagos State. But I think I'm more than that. I've had my fair share of community engagements and then what some people would rather call local NGO structures. I haven't had a very good stay and a working stay in Ekiti State where I worked with the Initiative for Social Development before I moved down to Abuja to work for NTCA, the Anti Control Alliance. So we've been able to do some projects that has to do with changing some of the narratives that we are not pleased about in this country. So at the moment, like they always say, the struggle continues, and we are not resting until we have a
Yeah,
country we can be proud of. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, and that is just the spirit. We are not giving up because giving up is not an option. So, Mr. Paul, of course, I know it is very important that you introduce yourself to the house for protocol purpose, but it is known that, of course, you are the engine behind the show. Please kindly introduce yourself for our audience out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. My name is Paul, Fadumo Abiodun Paul. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And your host this evening is Olaogun Michael Sukomi. Of course, I am a born talker, but I don't talk nonsense, and that is why we are talking on this platform. Yeah, thank you so much. Having said that, we are here this evening to actually discuss about what is very important in our nation, and that is insecurity as we journey through 2023 general elections. As we may all agree with me, there has been a whole lot of uproar around the country on insecurity, banditry here and there, kidnappings, and of course, burning down of security formations, and of course, the electoral umpire offices across the country, particularly in the southeastern part of the country. Yes, we have our people coming up to say, okay, we are tired of all of these. The political actors, the elites have continued to render their opinion on this issue around insecurity. And of course, it is of no doubt that it is threatening our national life, particularly our economy. And this is biting hard almost on everybody, even the political class themselves. They are feeling the heat, if I may be very correct. But very importantly, I think the voices around the issue of insecurity in the country is increasing by day. Nigerians continue to get terrified as to whether to travel or not, whether to move to their next neighbor or not. But this is not far-fetched from the inability of government to actually arrest the situation. And if you may agree with me, more worrisome is the attacks on our security formations, attacks on INEC offices across the country. Just few days ago, the INEC, the heads of INEC, that is Professor Mahmoud Yakubu and his team, visited President Muhammadu Buhari in the villa, that's at the Aso Rock, telling him about the situation of things in the country. And in the presidential reaction, he said that he receives intelligence almost on daily basis on happening around the country. The president continued to make promises upon promises, but it seems as if the president, perhaps, and of course, his other foot soldiers are not walking the talk. Because the more the promises are made, the more the criminal elements across the country perhaps continue to gain ground. And this is what is leading to this conversation this afternoon, because people, gladiators, political parties, eminent individuals continue to render their opinion about 2023 general elections. Even in the international communities, they continue to talk about if election would hold in Nigeria. And coming down to the southwestern part of the country, where we have the secessionist group, Chief Sunday Igboho and his team, saying that election in Nigeria would not hold in 2023. And of similar thing, said of Nnamdi Kanu, the head of IPOB, that's Independent People of Biafra, the agitators wanting Biafra Republic, that election would not hold. So all of these put together continue to put fear in our minds as we journey to 2023. And that is why we have eminent individuals on the show this afternoon to actually do justice to this conversation. So I will start with Mr. Martins. In your own view, putting into consideration all of this insecurity we have in the country, what do you say the fate of the nation is? Yes, you have the floor, Mr. Martins.
All right, thank you very much, Michael. Thank you for having me here. It's to me a complete privilege to be able to share some of uh, what I rather call age-long or prolonged worries about the state of affairs of our country. Well, just to be very straight in attempting to answer your question, it doesn't look like we have a country yet. It doesn't look like we have a president who is in control. It doesn't look like we are going to have an election come 2023. What is very clear and obvious right now is sustained silence from a supposed president who should be the president of the Federal Republic. The body language is very clear that is more of the North than the South. Threats and then statements of harassment coming from the chief executive of a nation, at a time where the politics is already heated, is something that is worrying, that is disturbing, and is bringing a lot of fears into us as citizens of this country. So, in a nutshell, my brother, to answer your question, I am worried, and I am more worried because those who we have voted for to change this narrative and give us, you know, uh, I mean, normally the responsibility of a reasonable government is to secure lives and properties. So, if these two parameters are missing, then it appears to me that there's no nation, there's no system, and so I'm worried, like I said earlier. Thank you. Thank you.
Michael, are you
Wow.
there?
Thank you so much for that submission. Hello.
Okay,
Michael, I'm
continue.
with you. Are you there? Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I think I would love to hold you on that particular position you maintain. Are you trying to say that it seems, or perhaps this present administration have failed woefully on issue of insecurity?
It is not something that is contestable. It is very clear. I don't know if you recall that this present president came into power on the promise that is going to give us security, fight corruption, and improve our economy. Now, look at those promises that he made. He has failed successfully to deliver on them. I've seen at least uh, 3 decades on Earth and some extras. I have never in my life seen a situation where people will be dying in numbers and the president would still continue to be silent. Never also have I experienced a situation whereby our currency, naira, will be such a mess, devalued of no significance. And also, I have never in my life seen a situation where corruption would now be glorified. And what we rather see is selective punishment or, nepotism and favoritism here and there. So it is obvious that the president has failed to deliver on his self-made promises, to deliver on the expectations of an average Nigerian man, to deliver on, the promises he made to give us dividends of democracy. So it's not my opinion. This is a general opinion. Opinion that is very clear, that is obvious, that is not even contestable. Now you can't sleep with your two eyes closed. Now you don't even know what will happen the next day. If you tune your radio, if you switch your television on, insecurity news here and there. Every day you go through the page of newspaper, you just don't have peace. And we have a president who should be a grand commander of the Federal Republic. So I still maintain that position, and I think I'm speaking for millions of Nigerians that have the same position. So it's the obvious, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for that position you have maintained. Of course, it is crystal clear. He talked about the state of the economy, how things are not actually doing well. And let me come to Mr. Paul. I agree totally with the position of Mr. Martins on the issue of insecurity in Nigeria that the present administration has failed woefully.
Well, Michael, thank you. I think it will be stupid to not agree at a time like this with what is obvious. It is glaring. I think everybody who have ears or eyes can see it. So, and we are pained as Nigerians. And it's unfortunate that President Buhari does not care. I have been emphasizing it even on this platform that President Buhari does not care about about the Nigerian people. He cares only about himself. Some years ago, I wrote an article about the fact that people who have the kind of Buhari's mentality, which is evident in in his body language, they don't care what you say. They don't care your feelings. They trust only themselves. They operate only in their minds. They see themselves as being superior, even though they are very small in their mind. You know, that's just unfortunate that you would want to describe the supposed head of state, you know, of a country that is as big as having 200 million, minimum 200 million people, you know, but that is just a fact today. When you mention Nigeria today, people want to ask you, how is your family at home? That's the first thing they want to ask you because it is everywhere. Everywhere you turn to, you Google Nigeria, insecurity is one of the things that is crushing the country. But then Buhari and his followers and cabals, they seem to be fast asleep. And once in a while, when they are going to speak, it is looking for where to throw bomb at. You know, how to punish people that are not supporting them or people that are speaking against them. That's just unfortunate, but that's where Nigeria currently is. Thank you.
Wow, that was a very powerful one. You know, our viewers, we are looking at the list of insecurity vis-a-vis the 2023 general elections. Now, we are about 600 days away from the general elections, if I'm correct. And every day on the national dailies, on the television, we continue to hear these threats. These are heavy statements as to if 2023 elections will hold or not. As a nation, as a sovereign state for that matter, this to the political actors seems as anti-national opinion. And we have in the southwest Chief Sunday Igboho, who is the crusading, who is leading a team of people about talking about Oduduwa Republic, the secessionist group. And similar thing in the southeast, where we have the IPOB talking about the Biafra Republic wanting to live. And this set of people, particularly their leaders, even opposition parties, continue to give statements as to if 2023 elections will hold. And coming to Mr. Martins now, should these voices be taken seriously, or they are just making a statement that does not hold water?
I think it is in the interest of the state to accommodate some of these concerns. Like I said earlier, and I'm sure you will agree with me, that this is the first time that we are having organized resistance against the central state. Before now, you see people complaining individually in their shells or in their pockets about the system. Now we are having what I would rather call a communal resistance, an harmonized resistance against the system. And it is in the interest of the state to accommodate some of these concerns. Igboho, like you rightly said, Nnamdi Kanu in the east, we don't also know what is going to happen in the north. These people have the legitimate rights. I mean, the worst thing that can happen to a man is to deny him of expression. That is the worst thing that can happen to you if you are being denied of expression. So these people have the right to express their grievance. They have the right. I mean, why would you want to remain in a matrimony when it is no longer holy? Would you want to force me into something that is, I mean, going to kill me? You should not have people walk away. But in the process of walking away, you have a dialogue. You don't force people into a marriage or into a matrimony, like I said, that is going to head for destruction. So it is in the interest of the Nigerian state to hear them. Believe you me, Michael, These people have the backing of the majority. It appears that one man in Aso Rock has the control of the army, but the army is so insignificant to face the force of the people. So it is in the interest of the state to accommodate them. Ask them critical questions. What are the issues? I mean, you provide solutions, you ask for feedbacks, you give them time to think about the solutions you are providing, and then you wait for them to come with a response. And if it's not okay by them, you continue asking. Nation building is not something that could be achieved overnight. It is a continuous event, it is a continuous action. So don't assume that because you control 19 states in the north plus the FCT, you are entirely in charge. Don't think that the Igbos in the southeast having just 5 states are too insignificant to have their voices heard. Don't think that the southwest haven't tasted power at the inception of democracy in 1999 have had their best. These people also are Nigerians that deserves to be listened to, that deserves to be, given a chance to express themselves. Look at the federal structure right now. There is supposed to be what we call the Federal Character Commission. How sincere is the government to the tenets or the provisions of the FCC? Look at the appointment of Buhari. I mean, I told a colleague of mine, I said, the death of the former chief of staff was unfortunate, no doubt about that. But the appointment of the new chief of staff was a missed opportunity for unity in this country. The president should have taken his time to look at structures within the southeast or personnel within the southwest who are equally competent, quote and unquote, because he said he chose that man on the basis of competence. Now I don't know if you are aware that some seniors, in military there's hierarchy. Those who were his seniors were forcefully resigned because he has an agenda to install a northerner. So it is in the interest of the state, my brother. It is very clear, it is obvious that these people are tired of the system, and that is why they are expressing their grievance. It happens even in the normal family setting. If the child is not okay with the workings of the father, he can talk. If the mother seems not to be satisfied with the actions of the husband, she also has the right to talk. Now, when you are denying me from talking, it's even worse than death. So it is in the interest of the state to give these people a chance, one, to further express themselves, and also to accommodate some of their interests, because it's very, very important if Nigeria would still be. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a very strong statement and a very strong position. And everything still boils down to the readiness of the government to engage some of these agitators, because their voices against 2020 during general elections continue to, give fear, inflict fear into the minds of people. And that gave me assurance that that was why the president, the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, and his team did visited the president in Aso Villa. But before we go into that, I think, Mr. Paul, because this morning I was watching a video of the president when he was granting one of the hosts on Al Jazeera interview some times ago, and he did mention that, okay, I'm paraphrasing, that, okay, those who are agitating for this secession or this or that, that they were not born when Nigeria was actually going through civil war, that they seem not to understand the cost of war. And he was further asked a question as to if it would take time, or if he will engage all of these agitators in conversation. And that boils down to what Mr. Martin said. Mr. Paul, in your own opinion, judging from the body language of the president, do you think he's such an individual that can actually call all these agitators to table, to discussion, so that 2023 election that we all look forward to, perhaps to change the governance narrative in the country, will come to bear? What is your opinion, sir?
Okay, thank you, Michael. You see, it is believed that democracy is a government of the people. all right, government of the majority. But in Nigeria, especially under the present government and administration, it is a government of the few, a few cabals, a few people, a few elites dictating to the majority. That's what we are seeing. See, it is not, it is almost doesn't make sense for you to not listen to these people. Because the more you ignore them, the more they gain more relevance. They are beginning to speak for a lot of people right now. A lot of people, few years ago, or maybe 1 or 2 years ago, or even months ago, people that I know personally who would say, no, there's nothing like Oduduwa Republic, or there's nothing like Biafra. They are beginning to lend their support. There are many people who are supporting these agitators or agitations secretly, but they've not come public with it. But what we have seen presently is those who have made their views or their opinions or their decisions or their feelings about the secessionist ideology or fight. They are the people who have made it known. But what about people who are silently, nurturing the idea? What about people who are saying, let us wait and see? So it doesn't, I don't understand the rationale behind ignoring them. I don't understand the rationale behind, in fact, I don't understand the rationale behind calling a group such as IPOB as a terrorist organization. It doesn't make sense because you're only I said it I think about 2 weeks ago on this show, that the Buhari administration is targeting directly or indirectly the Igbo people. There are so many things that Nnamdi Kanu says that I don't support, that I don't like, that I don't buy into, and there are so many Igbos. I know Igbo men who don't agree with him. But you cannot continue to treat the Igbo people on the basis of what happened when they were not, I mean, in 1970 or before 1970. It doesn't make sense for President Buhari to be talking about Igbo people and is mentioning what happened. Is it the genocide of children and women who had nothing, no idea about the war, that were killed by the Nigerian government, which were never apologized to? They say nobody win, nobody lose. When Nigeria is supposed to apologize to those people. And that is perhaps that is why we continue to have people saying we don't feel like we belong to Nigeria. And since it is democracy, there are some, even in the so-called constitution, that a lot of people have said is not our constitution. It's not the constitution of the people. Yet, these people are holding onto it because it guarantees them power. It is the Nigerian constitution, the kind of structure that we have, that would ensure that another Buhari will emerge in Nigeria. And as much as I am not, currently supporting the agitation for secession, I am saying that if we don't change the current system, another kind of Buhari will emerge. Thank you.
Very strong statement. And I know it boils down to all of us wanting a better Nigeria, all of us wanting things to improve. And of course, it is the desire, our desire, because I, as a person, I quest for better Nigeria. And that is the desire of everyone listening to us this afternoon, if I may agree, if I may be very correct. But importantly, I think I'm hearing the views of the three of us on the show this afternoon. But we cannot continue to live our lives as a nation in this way and expect things to go to get better, because it seems there is bitterness in the land. People are agitated. People are not happy with the way things have been structured. But one thing that is most important is this, and it is a regular saying, that change is the only thing that is constant. We do hope that this administration will take the little time left for them to actually wrap up some things. But let us go, before I go into the conversation again, to our viewers out there, this is your regular opinion sharer platform where we discuss topical, national, regional, and global issues. So we appreciate you for staying tuned, and we encourage you to share this conversation so that people out there can hear our views and, of course, educate the minds of others. Yes, now back to Mr. Martins. There has been a whole lot of security formation attacks in the southeastern part of the country. The police formations, the prison formations, soldiers are being killed. And of course, we can see the attacks on the INEC offices across the country. And INEC continue to express fear, which is a rider to the views that others, eminent Nigerians, carry as to if election will hold. But since in all of these, the federal government have alleged that the IPOB, the independent people of Biafra agitators, are the ones behind this attack. How true could that statement be in your own view?
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure the statements you just made would either come from Femi Adesina or Garba Shehu, because ours is a president who would not even talk. A friend was telling me yesterday that maybe because of his age, there's actually a limitation to the number of words that should come from him. That aside, well, to attempt to answer your question, I think what we are experiencing in the southeast now is actually beyond what the statement was from Garba Shehu. You know, we are having our polity heated already. The rhetorics from our politicians are also quite unfortunate. I don't know if you're aware, of course, I know you know that the governor of Imo State at some point said there's an investigation going on that would soon reveal some of those who are behind what we are currently seeing in a state. Imo State has now become the headquarters of insecurity as far as Southeast is concerned. And then you see him today accusing his predecessor, Okorosha, and you also see Okorosha accusing him and telling him that he's, of course, waiting for the report that will indict him and other politicians whom he had always suspected to be behind some of the issues, the killings, the bombings, the attacks on critical national infrastructures in his state particularly and in Southeast in general. But I think it's beyond that. Two things are involved here. One, we are dealing with people who seems to be wounded, who are still nursing the scars, the wounds of the past, who are experiencing sustained frustration and neglect from the Nigerian state. And now, these same people are now being further deprived of access to rights. I was telling a friend, I said, these people have governors who they should hold accountable and responsible for whatsoever development that they so deem fit. These governors, to be honest with you, are not delivering. They belong to political structures. What has happened to the people of Southeast over the years? What has happened to the allocations of Southeasterners over the years? I'm able to say that I served in the East during my NYC years, and I see people who are highly industrious. I see people who don't even want to look at the government for survival. But I also see people who would have done better should there be support from government. I see people who would have achieved the unimaginable should there be institutional support from the government. So it's actually beyond. I don't also want to preempt some of the findings that the governor of Imo State is trying to push forward. But I think it has to do majorly by the rhetorics of the same politician. We might not need to look at how the governor of Imo State emerged. He actually emerged through the back door. So there are people who felt up until now that that man is not their governor. So there could be some political dimension to some of the crisis in that state. You know, I kept referring to Imo State because that to me is the citadel of crisis right now in the southeast. There are some who felt that as long as
Mr. Martins, sorry, just to come in a little there. But it's quite obvious that the attacks on all of these formations, security formations, and INEC is not limited to Imo State alone.
Yes, yes, you're right. They are not. They are not limited to Imo State alone. I'm just saying that you have bulk of this in Imo State. I'm quite sure that there are attacks in Abia State, in Ebonyi State, and of course, we also have to look at the dynamics. The governor of Ebonyi State, just I think last month, defected to the All Progressive Congress. He used to be a PDP person. So there are some political spaces that people could actually leverage on to perpetuate crisis or evil or crime, so to say. And of course, we are talking about people who have, like I said earlier, coming from a wounded perspective, people who have this mindset that they are being disenfranchised, that they are being cut from accessing, people who felt like they don't even belong to the system and who are now seeing their supposed leaders, trying to eat them the more in their wounds. So it's actually deeper than we think. I think the problem of the East that we see today is beyond what we actually thought it is. And also, more importantly, we are talking about the federal system that seems powerful but has lost control. Like what Mr. Paul was trying to say earlier, it doesn't even appear that the president is in charge. And that is why somebody who was supposed to be the secretary to the federal government then said, "Who is the presidency?" I don't know if you remember that quote, Michael. When they said the presidency is about to suspend, he said, "Who is the presidency? Aren't we the presidency?" You understand? So it appears that people are now at liberty to carry arms, to be forceful against each other. And now, after all, it's happening in the back door, in the backyard of Mr. President. After all, Mr. President cannot even go to his state and walk in the streets and walk in marketplaces without being escorted. After all, we have killings happening very close to where he is. And then the next thing you see is shoot at sight. How many people? Again, I will ask, how many people have been shot carrying arms as ordered by the president? So this is not something to be contested. The body language of Mr. President is full of nepotism and favoritism. It's so partial
Wow.
that the
Wow.
people of the Southeast are now saying, come on, let us break down some of the structures that affiliates us with the national. Let us bring it down. If this is the only language that would speak, that Mr. President will listen. If this is only what we will be able to do to have our opinion shared, like the name of this platform, and then to have our interest enlisted. So I think it's
Wow.
actually more than that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Those are powerful submissions, and I think for all of you watching this, let us tell the person that know the person that is close to the seat of power that Nigerians actually desire a better nation. Nigerians want a nation that works for everyone, and Nigerians want 20, perhaps. Let me say, I'm speaking for myself now because the war is costly, and we don't pray to see you to witness any civil war or civil unrest again in this nation. Now, Mr. Paul, judging from the voice or the words of the president, over time, I cannot even pick the exact numbers of time. The president continued to promises upon promises that he would arrest the situation. He has given several orders. He has done a whole lot of things. But the narrative took the same part when he was visited by Professor Mahmoud Yakubu and his team about the destruction, the vehement destruction of INEC facilities in the southeast. The president did promise again that he would look into the situation, that he gets security reports in daily intelligence on what is happening in the country. What do you make of the promise of the president vis-a-vis his statement, his Twitter reaction onto reacting to, dealing with those agitating in the language they understand? What do you make of the president promise, let me say his promises now, and his reaction vis-a-vis the last tweet that almost broke down Twitter. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I just seeing on Twitter now that the federal government have suspended the operations of Twitter in Nigeria. You see, Nigeria, there are millions of Nigerians already who are supposed to be tech savvies, who are supposed to be able to know what is happening and use the technology to be able to better themselves, to be able to innovate and create something. But because there is limited access to the internet in Nigeria, so those information or those opportunities will not exist. Such innovations we will never see. Okay. Now, to your question, I think when I saw that statement that day, that tweet, what I commented was that this is crude and it shows incompetence. Honestly, that's what it shows. I would expect that even if Nnamdi Kanu and some of these secessionists are making noise, and they are saying they want to go, we don't want Nigeria anymore. And just like my friend here said earlier, he said the people of the East, majority of them are not feeling like they belong. As a social worker, I understand what it means to feel belonging. In fact, one of the things that we do primarily when working with a group is to ensure that the people maintain the sense of we, the sense of inclusive, the sense of being included, that I matter. But many people from the Southeast actually don't feel like they matter. A lot of them have been, and they heard the story from their parents, and now they are witnessing it. Imagine that. See, if it is story, if it is something that happened many years ago, we can say, okay, this thing happened many years ago, so you guys should forget about it. Let's move on. But it is happening, and they are doing it to their face, and they are telling them, what can you do? So if we're you and I, we won't sit back. And I made a call on this platform 2 weeks ago saying that people of our generation must not stand on the fence. We cannot afford to pretend as if it does not concern us because after all, Igbo people are concerned. Me, I be Yoruba man or I be Hausa man. It is only a matter of time. Because another person may go, Buhari may go, another person will come, and he will come and treat the people the same way Buhari is doing. And then if Buhari could go scot-free with it, if Buhari could, still maintain his base, the support from his base, then whoever that comes after him might do the worst and still maintain the support of his base. Because I'm sorry to say, majority of us are yes people. We are yes men. They don't question things. There's no critical thinking. There's no observing and looking at how is this thing going to impact our future? How is it going to impact our children? The things that we are suffering, that people of our generation are suffering today, is as a result of the complacency of our parents 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. That is what we are paying for now. And our silence now, our silence in the face of injustice, our own children and children will also pay for it. It is only a matter of time. It is a normal phenomenon. It is spiritual, it is physical. So we cannot afford to stand on the fence on this case. Buhari is wrong. If he represents Nigeria, the resources of Nigeria that is used to maintain, he is enjoying for his health right now is from our purse. Okay? And so you cannot sit down there and treat some other people or some section of the country anyhow, and then we support you or we keep quiet. That doesn't make sense. And I think it is insensitive to now say you want to suspend the operation of Twitter. Nigeria should be clamoring and begging media platform, technology especially, technology outfits to come and invest in Nigeria, not to go and suspend the businesses of other people, because people are using, your citizens are using the platform to air their views, to show their disdain of the behavior and the body language of the presidency or whatever they call themselves. It is so poor. Now, how do you tell Facebook? How do you tell Google to come and to establish and increase their investment in Nigeria when Twitter has been suspended? It's painful, and I'm disappointed, really.
Wow, wow, wow. I know people are beginning to get there's this level of like should I say anger in horse, and the anger in horse is not just for getting angry sake. It is a positive reaction only if government will see it in that light, just for things to get better in this country. Today, I made a post on my Facebook about the cost of living in the country, putting into consideration the minimum wage. And I couldn't believe what my eyes saw, the level of reaction I got. But I'll still come back to that question to Mr. Martins. Now, the president continued to make promises upon promises about the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. And in my own thinking, I was just like, okay, is it that this man is giving us time, or rather, them, the agitators? Is it that he's giving them time for them to actually dance out of the gallery, quote and unquote? Now that he gave that strong statement that he would deal with them in the manner they understand, do you think that language can hold water, putting into consideration the repeated promises of the president in combating insecurity challenges in the country?
Michael, it's very funny. It appears that the federal government is now more confused than I have even imagined. Some 3 weeks back, Lai Mohammed said that this is what we get if we devalue or we demarket our states. You recall that Twitter moved its headquarters or its functioning head office to Ghana, and then Mohammed Lai or Liar would come out and tell us that this is what we get when we devalue or demarket our country. And then just 3 days ago, he came out to also strongly oppose himself. Maybe because of his old age, I wouldn't know. He said that the activities of Twitter in Nigeria is suspicious. These are two different things coming out from a supposed man of knowledge, and they are sharply contrasting each other. So I'm worried. Well, back to your question. I think it is actually much more than we think. We have said this over and over again, that Buhari is not in charge of the country. It is crystal clear that a man who cannot even govern his home, his house, shouldn't have any business governing a state. It is a public information that the wife of Mr. President came out clearly to say that some cabal have actually hijacked the operation or the management of the government from her husband. And it's also a public information that the wife don't even live in Nigeria, not anymore. So what are we talking about? We are now having a president who seems to be more interested in happenings in Chad, supporting the baby dictator, rather than going to Castina or Kaduna and then trying to address the people, not with the language of threat. We are now having a president who seems to be more cautious of his appearance to the international community, as against a president who should have a close proximity or rapport with the people who actually voted him into power. So it's quite unfortunate that we find ourselves in this mess. But what is more worrying to me is also the ineptitude of the vice president of Nigeria. If knowledge should be entirely relied upon, if competence should be something that we should, hold in high esteem, people like that should not be entirely silenced by the flavors or by the enticement of power. It should be on record that it wasn't a part of this mess that we find ourselves. But it's unfortunate that we are where we are uh, now. So, just to put it straight, my brother, it would rather be my joy if Mr. President will no longer promise us what he will not deliver upon. We have before us right now over 23% rate of unemployment in Nigeria. This naturally triggers anxiety. We have before us right now people who are actually employed but underemployed in Nigeria, about 40 something percent. This naturally triggers violence. We have before us right now a country that ranks about 146 out of 198 uh, among the most corrupt, according to Transparency. I mean, TI, reports that came up. This triggers violence and anxiety. We have before us right now a country that has one of the highest gang of opium importers, in the world. It's actually, I mean, it's something that we should worry about. We have before us a country that continues to battle with trafficking. As I speak with you right now, Nigerians are attempting to cross over by any means. We are looking, we are talking about a country that has a very, very strong difference. The gap is widening between the rich and the poor. Believe you me, we hold the greatest office in this land as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but we cannot even access our leaders, talk less of questioning them. So personally, I'm done with those promises. I rather want to see a president who would at least narrow down his promises and walk the talk. Otherwise, as we are experiencing right now, there will be a very, very serious reaction from the Nigerian people.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olamide, for that powerful submission. But something came to my mind as you were making your comment. And judging from the tweet of the president, I'm coming to Mr. Paul now. Judging from the tweet of the president and the experiences we have had that Nigerians have had in the past, particularly those criticizing the government, if the government to actually deal with Nigerians in the language they understand, what do you think will become of us? And in a manner, judging from what has been happening in the past and of course at present, and because these are things, these are factors to actually measure up the language of, I mean, to measure this the language of the president. Is it those that are questioning for better Nigerians criticizing the government that will be dealt with in a language they understand, or the criminal element destabilizing the nation on daily basis? Mr. Paul.
Well, Michael, thank you. You see, it's difficult to interpret directly what he might be referring to, or who in particular he might be referring to. But I guess it's probably people like us who are not dancing to his drum, who are not speaking his language, you know. And because a lot of people might be thinking maybe it's just about Nnamdi Kanu, Sunday Igboho, and all of these people that are saying, "Let us dismantle Nigeria, sell it, and share the money." You know, but it may be more than that. When you look at countries in East Africa, especially, I've been doing studies because I have some friends who are from there. And I found out that apart from Kenya, almost all the countries in East Africa does not know what is freedom of speech. When you look at countries like Uganda, look at even Rwanda, I think it is worse in Rwanda. You cannot criticize the government, you will disappear. There is an article that is one of the most read articles on Opinion Sharers website. It is written about a guy. It's a study about a guy who was a poet, who had made appearances on the national TV, the national radio several times. The guy suddenly disappears. And what he did was to say in the East African countries that he believes more in the late uh, President Magufuli than any other president. So to them, to the people who support Kagame, they believe that that is fighting. I'm assuming, this is not a statement of fact. But the truth is that they went for a convention of poets in Rwanda. And somebody said he received a call that somebody is calling him in a particular hotel. He left his friends and he never showed back. He never came back. It's been over 3 months or 4 months thereabout. If you go to opinion sharers, you can see the article there. So I think this is what a lot of us are. I mean, Nigeria is gravitating towards, whereby you cannot speak your opinion anymore. You cannot have your opinions heard, whether on radio or even on social media. They come and arrest you, they pick you and make you disappear. You see, if they arrest you in the daylight, you might say, oh, people might say, okay, let's go and bail him. What if nobody even see any arrest? You are sleeping on your bed and they come and wake you. That is what is happening in some of these East African countries. That's what is happening. Even today, people are sleeping in their houses, in their room, and then somebody comes and knock their door and they make them disappear. You see, about 2 years ago, when it happened to Omoyele Sowore, he was picked in his hotel room at about 1 a.m. Many Nigerians who supported Buhari then, they celebrated it. Oh, he's on too much. And I wrote an article then that was published by Premium Times and Sahara Report. I think Premium Times. That when we continue to support injustice, it is only a matter of time. I'm sure there are a few of the people who are supporting Buhari at that time who insulted Sowore that he deserved it. In fact, many people say he deserved it. Some of them, or some of the people that they know, have been victim of such situations in Nigeria. But I'm telling you, I'm not completely sure, but I'm thinking that's where we are gravitating towards, whereby you can no longer speak. Now, if they take the operations of Twitter, in Nigeria, what does it mean for average person who wants to add his view? When you cannot hear your view, you are dead. I met a Rwandan whom I asked the first time, how is your country? He said, the country is fine. The president is doing well. It was months later, after he had gotten to know me very well. This is outside of Rwanda, that he began to tell me that when I met you and I was saying Rwanda is good, it's because I don't know, maybe you might it is dangerous to speak about to speak about Kagame in a way that he may not like, even outside of Rwanda. It is that bad. So and these are African countries, and it pained me when we subject ourselves or allow people to subject us and treat us as though we are animals, but we are not. The Westerners are not better than us, but they fight the fight. Look at the UK. They exited Europe, but nothing happened. They are doing well. So if care is not taken, Nigeria will divide, and there is nothing will happen.
Wow. Thank you so much. Those are inference drawn from across the continent, and that's one unique thing about this platform. We don't actually discuss issues on the surface. We go in depth, we do, and we are mindful of the kind of people we bring to the show. Now we are about to end this discussion. Just in 1 minute, Mr. Martins, in your own view, because it appears that Nigeria is at crossroad at this time, no doubt. As we journey to 2023, and with the level, the intensity of insecurity in Nigeria, what advice do you have for us as citizens and, of course, the government?
Thank you very much, Michael. I think government should put on a listening cap. I think government should create a platform for engagement. I think there is need for dialogue. I think people should be allowed the benefit of expression. And I also think that there should be sincerity from the government to accommodate various concerns which are normal. And I also think there is need for sincerity from those who who are supposed to be our leaders. This is a country that we love, that we are continue and will continue to pray that God holds this country above some of the enemies that are so strong in their thoughts and wish to divide us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We discuss problem and of course we prefer solutions. That's one of the things that is unique about us on this platform. Now, Mr. Paul, just the normal question. In just 1 minute, as we approach 2023 general elections, with the fear of insecurity across board daily getting intensified, what advice do you have for us as citizens and of course the government of the nation?
Thank you. In closing, I think the business of repairing and rebuilding Nigeria belongs to all of us. And like Madam Aisha often say, no Nigerian is more Nigerian than any Nigerian. Nigeria belongs to all of us, regardless of where you come from. And we cannot afford to leave it in the hands of a few, especially the worst of us. I mean, where the worst of us have been allowed to lead and rule the best of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. These are powerful statements. And conclusively, let me say this, that Nigeria at this point is of no doubt at crossroad. Everyone continue to talk. Even the perhaps I wouldn't be wrong to say, even the Fuetos possibly understand what is happening in Nigeria at the moment. But one thing is most important. If the citizens will constructively engage, and of course the leaders will pay attention to listen to the plight of the citizens, that is the only way by which Nigeria can actually get stabilized at this moment. And we're encouraging our political actors, the political gladiators, even the opposition parties, particularly at the national level, to continue to engage. Let us engage in this conversation. We must not get tired no matter what the situation may be. We may run to Canada, we may run to America, but one fact remains. There's this Nigerian blood in all of us. And if not for your own good, but for the good of the generation coming after all of us, I must sincerely thank our guest this evening. I want to especially thank my brother and my senior colleague, Mr. Ogunlade Martins. I thank you so much. He's a development consultant, and of course, he's so passionate about gender. So when you see him talk, I wonder why he didn't talk about women in politics today, but surely we'll bring you back to this show to discuss women and politics as we gravitate towards 2023 general elections. I say thank you so much. I want to sincerely thank my brother and my very senior colleague, the engine behind the show, Mr. Paul. Thank you for the opinion shared. And to our viewers out there, we say thank you so much for joining this conversation. We do hope you share so that people can get educated, let people get better informed, not for our own good alone, because if we are informed and others are not informed, it will hinder our progress in no measure. So we appreciate you so much. I am your host this evening, Amola Ogun Michael Sukomi by name. See you again join the conversation tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. as we host the show again. And on Friday, stay tuned as we discuss another political issue. Thank you so much and bye for now.